Hello and welcome back to Indie Book Talk. We have overcome mighty technology issues today to bring you Jim Jimmy Green. I can't even do this. What is happening? Sorry, the recording thing's being weird now. I'm just going to start again from here and edit it out. Okay. Hello and welcome back to Indie Book Talk. Today we have overcome mighty technical challenges to bring you Jimmy Craig, who is the author slash artist creator, pick a word, of Are You Gonna Eat That? The essential collection of They Can Talk comics. Jimmy, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm super excited to talk to you because I've seen your comics out in the world, and I think it's super cool that you have compiled them into a book for us to enjoy. So those who have not seen these yet, you should go check them out because they're basically talking animals doing
first show us the
amazing
cover.
and hilarious things. And we all love
Because the cover
animals
shows
here on the
a
show.
dog.
So, Shelley, do you have a comment about the animals? I know you do.
So is this about all animals or are we just talking dogs here? Is this for all animals or just dogs for this cartoon?
The cover's already hilarious. I love it.
Aww.
Sorry, what was that? It's a collection of comic strips about like all sorts of animals. A lot of cat and dog ones, but we got chameleons. There's a possum in there, cheetah, gazelle. There's cats and dogs. I would say cats and dogs are the most recurring ones, along with squirrels and birds.
That's awesome.
In order:
right before
cats, dogs, squirrels, birds. But yeah, it's.
I told him right before
really
we started recording, I appreciated the word because my dog had just eaten my dinner. So
yeah, it's a collection
I was on board with
comic
the title.
strips that I've been doing for about 7 years now.
Really? Oh no. So you said you've been working on these for 7 or 8 years. So does this book encompass all the work of all those years, or did you winnow it down to your favorites?
Yeah, it's just the favorites. So it's about around. So I've probably done to date over 400 comics.
So is this been a web series?
130. So it's like fan favorites plus my favorites, but pretty much it's like just the most popular ones out of the last 7 years. Cool. Greatest hits, will you? Yes. Started as a Tumblr, then Facebook and Instagram, and now I also publish on an app called TinyView. Yeah, it started as a humble blog, and then it really blew up.
What got you started with comics? Were you that kid who was like pulling out the Sunday insert, or was there an artist that you were super into?
Both. I mean, it started with Calvin and Hobbes and The Far Side, probably like when I was around 7 years old. But definitely Sunday comics were huge. I'd say earliest influences were Calvin and Hobbes and The Far Side, then Mother Goose and Grimm, and then when it came to like the Sunday funnies, I was really Mother Goose and Grimm was a big one in the Sunday paper for me. Sunday was the best because they were all in color.
When did you get into illustrating?
And Monty was probably the one I liked the most, like through high school. Yeah, that's a great series.
And for your own work, what would you compare it to?
I think that I try to have. I think I just naturally have like similar sensibilities to Gary Larson and The Far Side, but it's like I base my comics somewhat in reality, so I'm not having like Far Side will have cows standing up and talking, and like my animals are just like trying to actually say like what these animals could be saying. Again, somewhat based in reality, but just the tone of the humor I think is somewhat similar to The Far Side. I'm not going to say that my stuff is as good as his, but that's probably the most common comparison I get, is like it's very Larson-esque is what people have told me.
Nice.
So when did you start illustrating?
Like, Calvin and Hobbes is my all-time favorite by far, but I definitely don't write in that style.
So,
I mean, I've just been drawing forever. Like, always, like, drawing in class. Always loved art class. I went to school initially for fine arts. I switched to an English major to kind of focus on writing more than art. But art's always been a part of my life, for as long as I can remember.
And why did you decide now was the time to do a book after 7 or 8 years of working on this comic?
I finally had like a deep enough catalog. I felt like I could have, you can't do like a greatest hits album after only having one album, like if you're a musician. But I felt like I had enough comics that I could create a collection that I feel like I had my greatest hits ready. So it took a bit of time, but I feel like 7 years. It was probably like 6 months maybe to put the book together, but at that point I had around 7 years.
So did you choose them based on reader feedback, your own personal favorites?
I feel like I have the
collection
what did you use that I was like striving for when
deciding?
I first started the comic.
Nice. That's a good feeling.
It is, definitely. Yeah, I most of them are just like the ones that were the most popular online. I think it's really interesting how like they will always, if one does well on Instagram, it will do well on Facebook, it will do well on Tumblr. Like people, if a comic is good, like people instantly I guess I get that response very quickly. That confirmation whether or not it's good, or whether or not people really like it. Okay. So it was kind of easy to go through.
No, I mean that's good. Take the most popular things and provide it to more audience. That's great.
So it was really primarily audience feedback than it was my choice. Yeah.
Are you hoping that this is like a way to introduce new people to the work, or are you expecting that it's going to be, oh, your big fans are going to buy this book and, want to have it on their coffee table or something?
I think that the book is like super accessible to anyone. Like you pick this up in a store and it's like you can just instantly get the humor, and if you like animals, I think you'll instantly connect to it. And I think best case scenario, it's for new people. But realistically, I think the first wave of people that get it is primarily, people that follow me on social media. Right. But it is in stores now, so you can get it at your local bookstore, and I really hope that that new readers find it there. Again, best case scenario.
Mm-hmm. And it makes a great gift. Just saying.
It really does. That's really
buy
like
it for your friends.
Primarily, like I sell prints too, and it's like November is like huge for Christmas gifts. That's for sure.
Oh yeah. So let's talk about your publisher, because I'm curious. It's Ulysses Press that you're published through. Do they do primarily comic strip books, or was this like a new thing for them?
I think they primarily do like gift books and like cookbooks and not these books. But I think a lot of what they do are gift books, which is a nice segue into what we were just talking about, because I do think this fits in that category. But I also think that's kind of unique about my comics is they are they're standalone. It's not part of a series as far as like a continuing story or anything
So,
like that.
as this was your greatest hits
that's why
to
I think it
date,
is especially suited for like a gift book, and that is what Ulysses Press, I think, specializes
go ahead
in,
with Emma.
not comics, but like gift books.
And how did you find them?
So there's two questions, I think. Greatest hits to date, yes. I mean, I have probably like the book was probably finished over 6 months ago. So anything you see on my site in the last half a year or so is not in the book. The other thing was the publisher.
So I was
an
asking a longer
agent
question, but then I heard Emma speak. So we're having a little bit
the
of a
book went
lag
out,
here. So
and
I'm now
then
telling her when I'm about to ask a
Ulysses
question to make this a little
was
bit easier.
interested, and thankfully that
So,
all worked out.
as this is your greatest hits, are you hoping
Okay.
to now do another one and like do new material? Or are you gonna maybe do another secondary second greatest hits? What is your plans for the future now that you've put one out there?
Yeah, I think that like I still publish the comic weekly, so I do 2 comics a week, and I have no intentions of stopping that. The comic has still grown even since the book was finished. The comic continues to grow like exponentially, and find a bigger and bigger audience. So I think the next thing on the list is doing a daily calendar.
Nice.
And then I'm definitely not in a rush to do another book. But I think that if I stick with the comic another 5-10 years, there's a potential to do a refresh of the book where I add in whatever those new greatest hits ones are. But yeah, I definitely see that happening at some point, but not in any rush by any means.
I thought of something funny, and then I forgot what it was. Oh, when Shelley said the second book of greatest hits, then I was thinking like, yeah, these are like slightly less great hits, but they're still great. And then you could just keep going until you're like, and these are the ones I hate.
Yeah. It's funny because Calvin and Hobbes basically did that. They're like, they have the essential collection. I have them all right here. So they're like, the essential Calvin and Hobbes, the indispensable Calvin and Hobbes, and the authoritative Calvin and Hobbes. Like, he just had so many greatest hits collections that he had to keep coming up with creative names for them.
I see. I feel like authoritative feels like you're telling me what to like, whereas essential is like, no, really, you need these.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I might have stolen the idea for calling them the essential collection from Calvin and Hobbes, but
that's not stealing. That's an homage.
yes, yeah, definitely.
So you're publishing a comic a week, 2 comics a week. How long does it take you to do this?
I do a comic in about 2 hours, and I do one a week that's like on Instagram, Facebook, Tumblr, on my site theycantalk.com, and then I do a separate exclusive one for Tiny View, which is like a comics app that has like
so I'm curious. Writers get writer's block. If you're continuously publishing 2 a week, even 1 a week,
it just has like
do you have a storehouse of the ones like to push out for those weeks? Like you have the flu. I mean, what do you do when you just don't have the ability to get one written up or drawn?
Yeah, it definitely happens, and it's just like something I think has really helped me is like I stick to the schedule. I always say it's like a self-imposed deadline. Like no one's going to do anything if like I don't publish one, but I've just stuck with it for 7 years, and I like if I don't have an idea, like I'll sit down and I'm like I'm doing a comic now, for better or for worse. But usually by the time I sit down, I'll have like very loose notes where I'm like, okay, excuse me. It's like I'll have some basis to go off of, so I'm not like fumbling in the dark. But sometimes that does happen. But again, for better or worse, like I do write one regardless if I'm like particular inspired or not.
I think that's really good practice because it's easy to be stuck in a block when you're not sitting at your desk, but when it's like, okay, this is the time and we're going to write something or draw something whether we want to or not, it's amazing what your brain will come up with just to get you out of that situation.
Yeah, I like I always have to be very deliberate about coming up with an idea too. It's like I think a lot of people like assume that people get ideas just like being out. Maybe people do. I don't. Like I don't just have ideas pop in my head as I'm like going out and getting coffee or something like that. It always has to be very deliberate, like sitting down, time to write a comic, and then I come up with
it. So we keep talking about the animals, right? You've got dogs and cats and birds and squirrels. Do you have pets? And if so, do you just stare at them and be like, do something funny so I can draw a comic?
Oh yeah, totally. I have 2 cats. Aww. And like I'm trying to think. I had a recent one where it was directly inspired by my cat. Like I looked
they gotta work for that.
One of my cats for inspiration, and she gave me an idea. But I have 2
Good job,
cats
cat.
that are like, yeah, I have 2 cats that are. I mean, they get a warm house and food. In
I'll send you dogs any day.
And yeah, for an idea here and there. But I have 2 cats that are like complete opposites, so I feel like between the 2 of them, I have my cats covered, my cat ideas covered. I would say though, I am a dog person. I grew up with a dog for like 14 years, and I love dogs, but I married a cat person.
The age-old divider: cat person versus dog person.
Yeah.
That was such a silly thing for me to say. Okay, I've distracted myself. I'm sorry. Because we're having so many technical issues, and I really want to make sure that people get the name of the book and go get it. I'm going to repeat that the title is called "Are You Gonna Eat That? The Essential Collection of They Can Talk Comics." It's from Ulysses Press. It's out right now. And we have the book. If you are watching this at this moment on YouTube, you can see the cover of the book. If you're not watching this at this moment on YouTube, go do that because you could see the cover of the book. And also the collection of Calvin and Hobbes comics in the background. They're there. I can see them. If people want to check in on your comics. Oh, yes, we did hear that. If people want to check in on your latest comic, where can they find you on the internet?
Theycantalk.com. Always updated. Tiny View has exclusive comics. Instagram, Facebook, those are the primary ones. Just search They Can Talk and you should have no problem finding it.
All right. And we will link those in the description as well. Thank you so much, Jimmy, for bearing with us through our technology glitches. Hopefully, by the time this goes out to our listeners, they won't even know it happened, except that I mentioned it. But we are so glad that you were able to be on the show. And everyone, go check out some comics because they're really funny. Thank you. Not just because they're about animals. Legitimately, very funny.
Thank you.